What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Burndown YouTube channel. So today is one of those videos that I don't think anybody that does YouTube would like to make. I don't think people like to do it in real life when they're by themselves, and that is admit defeat and a bit of failure. This thing, aside from the actual problem we're going to try to tackle, works wonderful. So all the changes, everything we did is rad. Not a single leak, nothing like that. The problem is the oil pressure is not where I want it. And I was racking my brain trying to figure out if it was just an oversight, was it something simple? And the major problem I have is in less than 4 weeks, this thing needs to be in Vegas. Along with that thing, and I still have a laundry list of stuff I'd like to get accomplished before then. So I threw in the towel yesterday. I relaxed a bit because I've been burning the candle at both ends on this thing, trying to get it to where it is now. And I realized today is the day that I show you guys how I learn. Typically people are like, where'd you learn all that stuff, Dane? How'd you learn how to do this and do that or whatever? Well, I go to this little tiny school you may have heard of. It's called the School of Hard Knocks. And I beat my head against the wall when I do things. And that's how I learn. So today, we're going to do what I've decided. We're going to give it one last shot because Goonies never say die. Trust me, I don't really want to be in this predicament. I don't want to have to do this. It feels like race week all over again, except I'm in my driveway. But we're going to pull the motor out. And then I thought, well, maybe it's a seal. We'll just kind of look at it. So I figured what we'll do is we'll pull the motor. We'll start breaking it down, and I'll start looking for obvious things that I missed. Although I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there in the beginning of the video. The oil pressure, it was erratic, right? At idle, and then it'd smooth out as it'd get up, but at idle it'd kind of move around, which would tell me that it's something organic, there's something moving. So then that's going to be a bearing or like a lifter or something like that in my brain, because if it was just a leak, it would be a steady pressure drop, and it would just stay there. It would just be low. I don't think it'd be erratic. So I'm thinking it's these guys right here. Yeah. We eyeballed. You know what? I broke the cardinal rule that Matt says, don't look at the cam bearings. I looked at them, and I even touched them. Maybe touching them is where it went wrong. But the cam bearings seemed decent, and I figured that was one more thing that I could possibly screw up. Just don't do that. We already had the block all the way apart. I didn't do them. Well, if you roach your main bearings and you roach your rod bearings, just go ahead and do the cam bearings. And then my boys from War, look at, they even sent these to me because they were awesome. And I just neglected it like a complete idiot. So that's why we're going to School of Hard Knocks today. This is how you learn. I am not an engine builder. This is the first attempt that I've done stuff like this. Typically, I subscribe to the junkyard model, which now I understand why people do it. It's way easier. You just get a bullet. When it works, it's awesome. When it doesn't, you throw that one away and you get another one. It's like, you know, the throwaway engine model. When you get one that has some stuff done to it and then you have to actually care about it, oh man, they're like these little fragile babies. They're terrible. So let me regroup. I'm going to drink some coffee. It is very early, so the goal is to yank the motor out and then start disassembly. I'm not going to beat you guys up with this. I'm just going to bring you along periodically. Otherwise, this video will be, you know, all day long because I'm probably going to be out here till the sun goes down. And yeah, man, this is how I learn. This is not how I like to do things typically, but you know, if you're going to go big, go home. We might as well do it on a stage and tell everybody that I'm a schmuck and I didn't do that and this is what happened. So at least you guys can learn from my mistakes, or you can just get tired watching me and you can laugh and eat your popcorn and kick your feet up and go, oh, I've been there. So without further ado, let me suck down the coffee, get rolling. I'll bring you back when we start making progress as we go. Well, we are doing fantastic. I want to say it's not even 10 in the morning yet. I started about 7-ish or so. So we've got pretty much everything broken down. And you always have a hard choice when you're pulling a motor. Do you lay underneath and do everything underneath and then do the top stuff so you don't have to lay in water, or vice versa? Well, it was early and I'm like, I just don't feel like getting down and doing all the non-fun stuff first. So I got a piece of plastic and a blanket. Yeah, I know it's backwards, but I was like, it's motivation. you got to start taking the easy stuff off and seeing progress, because you jump straight to doing like torque converter bolts and things underneath the car. That's not a happy place. The other positive note though is the wiring guy did great. Look at this thing. Look at it. Beautiful. Trans fan works beautiful. The transmission guy, that guy's kind of learning, because this thing didn't leak a lick. It shifted nice and firm. It seems great. It's just that engine builder. I mean, that guy, he even got free parts from his sponsor that he didn't put in because he's a complete, you know. So I even got, look at the engine bolts out too. So I'm gonna do the converter bolts, and then we'll jump behind it and zip all the bolts out for the transmission. That's it. We'll put this on, lift it up, pull it out, and then we will start inspecting. When I do take the engine apart, I'll bring you guys back full time. You don't need to see this. You guys will see me take this thing in and out a bunch. And granted, you can basically rip a motor out of a car in a couple hours. That's not too bad. So let me get this thing out of here, and then we will start inspecting our problems, and we'll see how deep into the motor we get. Maybe we get lucky and there's just like a blown out seal and we're like, hey, that's it. We're wonderful. I know, wishful thinking. Dude, we're doing even better than I thought. I thought it was like 10. It's only 9. Whew. This is like a top fuel pit stop over here. All right. It's because I've had 2 cups of coffee. Let's go. All right, here she is, ready to start breaking it down. And then I was kind of excited because I looked at my phone. It's not even 10 o'clock yet. And I'm like, man, that's not too bad. And then I realized, wait a minute. Is that actually a good thing that I can rip the entire motor and everything out of my car in less than a couple hours? That means that somebody's had some practice. So at least the engine builder has practice taking the motor in and out. Now he just needs to be able to fix it correctly so he doesn't have to practice so much. So let's break this thing down, and then I'll bring you guys back when we start actually looking at things that matter. So we'll drain the fluids and all that. I won't waste your time with that, but yeah, I wanted to share that with you because at first I was like, hey, that's cool, and then I was like, wait a minute, that means that I've been doing this way too often. So we got the oil pan off. I figured I'd share this with you guys. Let's pull this off, and then we can take this, and then there's a plate behind there, so that would be critical for oiling. You guys saw me do the O-ring, so that is in there. I don't even know what pump this is. I wonder if this is like a, what is it, there's a 10-295, so this might be like a 9.5 or just like a 9.6. I don't believe this is like a 10.96, but we'll pull it off and see. I did get a better pump, so we got the high pressure, the 10-295 on the shelf over there, so when we do slap it back together, we're gonna put that in it. So anyway, without further ado, let's pull this off, start doing some inspector work, huh? There's my green O-ring. So this thing is still in good shape, looks good. Yeah, whatever, it's an oil pump, so set this in here, make a mess. Take this off. Somebody mentioned they didn't tighten this plate, but mine looks tight. But I was wondering, maybe I got crud or something behind it. Let me pull it. You know, it looks tight, so it's nice and flush. So yeah, I don't think that's it, dude. I don't think this is our culprit. Let's see if they have some stank on them. Yeah, that's tight. Different size. Try another size. That one seems weird. Ooh. Let's just pull this off real quick just to visually verify the back side of it, because that's where the seal is. We'll kind of just give it a once over, but this was new. Doesn't have a ton of runtime. In a perfect world, it should be good. Still. Yep. Nice lip on it. Looks good. let me pull this, make sure this didn't get roached, because there's a passage here. And then there's also the oil galley plug down there. So let me pull that. And then I think before we slap it together this next go around, we'll get an oil galley plug, so I did not replace that. But let me get this stuff off and we'll show you guys and we'll keep going. But yeah, so far, like I said, the oil pressure was jumping at idle. So if you had an orifice, like a leak, it would just stay steady because there'd only be so much because it's all mechanical. So it would just flow out of that and your oil pressure would just stay steady. Well, if something's spinning and moving and like jumping, like say it was on a journal, in my mind that would cause it to bounce on the needle. So we're gonna keep going, but I think we're doing the full Monty today, boys. Full Monty. Today's just one of those days. I don't know, man. I am stumped, and because my knowledge is limited, so that's really where I'm just having the hiccup, because I think if I knew exactly what I was looking at, I'd be like, oh, look at that. But I'll show you guys. But it looks like the main bearings, you know, I don't think those are too bad. There's a little more action on the other ones. The rod bearings are kind of, you know, they have a little bit of action, but these guys, I mean, every single one of them looks good, unless it's just roached and I don't know it, because I don't really have a way to measure them. And we could flip it over and I could show you. But yeah, I mean, the cam bearings look the same as when I put everything in last time. And I said all these bearings were new. So let me show you these ones. And I don't know, I'm really kind of like, so we got all these guys here. And then I'm thinking a little bit of the action is from it not having pressure. And I took it out to like 5 grand one time just to see, and oil pressure stopped at 40, but it was leisurely. So I don't even know if that would have been the reason some of this stuff has some action on it. But yeah, you know, it's, I don't know though. And they don't like fall out or nothing. So I'm just at, and then obviously you can't expect something like this to not have some sort of wear on it, I would imagine, when you start it up and run it, right? So I don't expect it to look exactly like the way it did when I put them in. Rust bearing, that didn't even look, it's not even getting pushed on at all. So I don't know if, like, looking at that, somebody's like, oh, those are junk, there's your issue. Or if that doesn't look that bad to anybody else, I mean, I don't know, for my house, I guess it doesn't look all that bad. But again, I don't know. I figured I'd be looking for copper if we were down too far on those. So I did the whole phone a friend trick. I got a buddy coming by. He knows more than I do. And then I think at this point, because there's nothing obvious, I already have it broken down. We may run it to the machine shop. I think that's probably gonna be my best bet tomorrow. I can just take everything the way it is, crank all the stuff, and then he actually has real tools and he knows what he's looking at. I might walk up and he goes, look, you idiot, this is what you did. But other than that, I don't know offhand. And I don't want to blindly stuff it together and do one of these, because I already know that that's just setting myself up for more disappointment. And I've already put a lot of work in, because I want to put this back in, and if it fires and it has oil pressure, everything else is beautiful. So I'm almost to the point where it's like, if I took a little extra time, it'll push it back a little further. But I think we'll be all right. I guess worst case too, we'll just have to bump the rev limit if I can't get to gears, right? Because it runs out of gear at 7 grand at like 1,100 feet. So good thing we got the Johnsons, because we may have to turn it. So that's it. I'll, you know, leave comments, concerns, whatever. I mean, if you think you kind of have an idea, just let me know what you think. And if you really do know stuff, please comment on there and go, hey, dummy, it's this or whatever. You're not going to offend me, because I'm looking more for help in distress, because I just want to put it back together and have it actually function. So that's it. You guys, it's Sunday. I got to clean up early. I got to take the boy to the park. I got to go ride some swings or something with him and go have some fun and smile a little bit and decompress, because I got a whole week and a whole car and a whole house to get ready for Ellis Fest 2022. You guys, like, subscribe, share. I'm out. Figured I would throw this in here, even though we basically wrapped the video for the most part. But this is the oil pump that was in here. So this wasn't new to begin with. It's got some grooves and some marks. This thing's really sharp right here, like it was, you know, riding on it, wearing it out. We've got plenty of grooves in here. Yeah, it even has action on the edge too. So this was my old high volume pump, and I had this in there when I was breaking lifters and things in the previous engine. And then with the new build, I put a new pump in standard volume. And then when I went back this go around, I was like, oh, let me put that high volume pump back in. So I feel like this was my problem from day one. But we're gonna put eyeballs on it. I'll take it down to the machine shop. I'll see if those bearings are worth changing or not. And then the cam bearings still look wonderful, but this is pretty roach. So I'm gonna show them this, show them the bearings that I've got, and I'm gonna take the block, and then the crank looks fine. So we'll take all those things and we'll see what survey says. The oil galley plug looked fine too, but we'll throw a new one in, cheap insurance. And we will live to fight another day. I feel good about finding this. At least I found something that doesn't look friendly, because everything else was kind of checking out besides the bearings looked like they had a little action. But I was like, man, I don't know. But apparently this, you know, being grooved out real hard, and then this thing being real sharp, and, you know, looks like it put some crud through there. So I'm hoping that this was our culprit. But I'll let you guys know what survey says.